When you talk about famous murder cases in the US, you can't skip over the Black Dahlia case from the post-World War II era. The victim, Elizabeth Short, was just 22 when her body was discovered cut in half, with her cheeks slashed into a creepy clown grin. Who could be so cold-hearted to take Elizabeth Short's life? This wild and shocking Black Dahlia case has had investigators scratching their heads for years, and it still leaves people wondering to this day. Hey everyone, welcome to 1 Minute News. Today we're going to talk about Black Dahlia murder case. On the morning of January 15, 1947, Betty Bersinger was out for a walk in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, with her 3-year-old daughter when she came across what she thought was a discarded mannequin lying weirdly on the grass. But when she took a closer look, she realized it was actually a woman's body, cut in half at the waist. She quickly called the cops. When the police showed up, they found that the blood had dried up, and the internal organs were missing. The body was lying naked on its back, with her elbows raised by her head, forearms lifted and legs spread apart. The creepiest part? The corners of her mouth had been sliced all the way to her ears, making her look like she had a twisted clown smile. An autopsy showed that the victim had been through a lot of abuse, with obvious burn marks from cigarettes on her chest. The forensic expert pointed out that the way the killer handled the body was pretty skilled. They used wax to stop the bleeding in her mouth, and the intestines and other organs had been cleaned before being shoved back inside. The police eventually identified the victim as a young woman named Elizabeth Short. Elizabeth was born on July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts, and she was the third of 5 daughters in her family. From a young age, she was obsessed with movies and dreamed of being an actress. As an adult, Elizabeth decided to pack her bags and head to Los Angeles to chase her acting dreams. She was hoping to get a break in Hollywood and become a successful actress. But reality hit hard. To pay the bills, she took on all sorts of jobs in LA, like waiting tables and working as an extra, but she just couldn't land the acting gigs she really wanted. There are a bunch of theories about why this murder case is called the Black Dahlia. One idea is that when they found the body, Elizabeth's black hair was spread out like a blooming dahlia. Another theory says the name comes from her love for wearing black clothes and the 1946 movie The Blue Dahlia. Elizabeth Short had been engaged to a pilot named Matthew Michael Gordon Jr., but tragically he died in a plane crash while on a mission. This hit Elizabeth hard, and a lot of people think it played a big role in her later reckless behavior. Fast forward 3 months before Elizabeth's death, from October to November 1946. She first crashed with a guy named Mark Hansen, who owned a strip club called Florence Nightingale in LA. Elizabeth lived right behind the club, which was always buzzing with gorgeous dancers, sparking rumors that she might have worked in the sex industry to make ends meet. In December 1946, Elizabeth took a bus leaving Hollywood to stay with her friend Dorothy French in San Diego, where she settled down. However, 2 months later, she was asked to leave Dorothy's residence. Subsequently, she met a married salesman named Robert M. Red Manley in San Diego, and hitched a ride with him to the Baltimore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Elizabeth told Robert, "I'm going to meet my sister here, and then move to my sister's place in Berkeley." On the afternoon of January 8, 1947, Robert walked Elizabeth into the hotel lobby. He watched her anxiously waiting for her sister's call until around 6:30 p.m., and eventually, he decided to leave. After saying goodbye to Robert, Elizabeth vanished for a whole week. Then, on January 15, 1947, her body was found in a gruesome state. She had been cut in half, her face was messed up like a clown, and her thigh tattoo of a rose was severed and stuffed into her private parts. To make it worse, her stomach was filled with all sorts of unknown stuff, including feces. This crazy case was all over the news for a month, but the media hype really messed with the police investigation. So many people just wanted attention that they ended up confessing to things they didn't do, which totally overwhelmed the cops. 9 days after the incident, a bunch of newspapers got letters that looked like they were from the killer. They were made up entirely of cutout clippings from newspapers and magazines. One of the letters said, "This belongs to the Dahlia, more letters are coming." Along with the letters, there was a package that had Elizabeth's birth certificate, social security card, some photos from her life, and an old address book. Another letter said, "I'll confess, but only if I get a 10-year sentence. Don't bother trying to find me." A few days later, a handwritten letter showed up at the police station saying, "I'm going to confess on Wednesday, January 29th at 10 a.m. I've had my fun with the cops. The Black Dahlia Avenger is here." But when that day rolled around, no one showed up to confess. After the police wrapped up their investigation, they put together a suspect list with around 25 names. Even 75 years later, about 10 of those suspects are still in the mix, including these 4 main ones. Robert M. "Red" Manley was the last person seen with Elizabeth Short before she went missing, making him the main suspect. However, he passed 2 lie detector tests, and witnesses confirmed his alibi, leading to his release. Mark Hansen was the last person known to have spoken with her after she returned to LA on January 8 or 9, 1947. Despite inconsistencies in his story and rumors of a failed romantic advance towards Elizabeth, there wasn't enough evidence to charge him or his associate, Leslie Dillon, who had morgue experience and knew about Elizabeth's tattoo. Arthur Lake, a well-known actor, was also a suspect due to his connection to another unsolved murder, that of Georgette Bauerdorf. Despite similarities in the cases, Lake's status and connections kept police from pursuing him aggressively. Dr. George Hodel, who had treated Elizabeth, became a suspect after being accused of attempting to assault his daughter in 1949. Police monitored him in 1950 and recorded him saying, "Maybe I really did kill the Black Dahlia, but they can't prove anything. They can't ask my secretary anymore because she's dead." His secretary, Ruth Spalding, had died of a drug overdose, but the lack of evidence led to the case being dropped. Hodel fled to the Philippines in 1950 after being linked to illegal abortions, evading arrest before his death. His son, Steve Hodel, a detective, believes his father was the true killer. He discovered a photo album containing images of a woman he believes is Elizabeth, arguing that his father's medical background explains the precise way her body was handled. However, some family members disputed his claims, insisting the woman in the photos was not Elizabeth. The murder case of the Black Dahlia remains unsolved. Some believe that Elizabeth Short's complicated personal life added to the mystery. Additionally, constant interference from the media and the public during the investigation, along with the involvement of powerful individuals, made the police hesitant to conduct a thorough inquiry, allowing the killer to evade capture. To this day, the brutal violence inflicted upon Elizabeth remains shrouded in mystery, and it seems unlikely that the truth will ever come to light. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Catch you next time. This is News in a Minute.